In this video, we'll show you 5 ways your childhood affects your love life. We all know the different life stages. We were children, we go through an awkward, angsty teenage phase, and then we're adults. As adults, many of us eventually start dating, fall in love, and plan on spending our lives in a relationship. It's easy for us to separate our childhood from our adult love lives. What do my childhood memories and young experiences have to do with my adult relationship? Welcome to Psych to Know, the place where great minds come to get inspired. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out on lots of great content. To understand how your childhood is impacting your love life, you first need to identify what patterns and norms came from your childhood. Humans learn by observing and mimicking others. A bunch of studies looked at this for both humans and our ancestral cousins, monkeys. Naturally then, what we observe of our families growing up significantly shapes us. Note, we will say family throughout this post, but the term family can encompass a wide assortment of family constellations. Let's begin. Number 5. Your communication patterns. Every family communicates differently. In some families, conflict is dealt with in low voices and quiet nods. In others, conflict might involve a lot of yelling and hollering at each other. Or in a particularly dysfunctional choice, conflict isn't acknowledged at all. We all develop our own unique communication styles, but that doesn't mean we aren't significantly influenced by our family's patterns. These differences in communication will inevitably come out in our relationships. Let's say Johnny's family tended to holler at each other when they disagreed with each other. After their loud conversation, everyone would move on and get along fine. But Johnny's partner Casey comes from a family in which yelling was seen as unloving. Suddenly, when Johnny gets angry and yells, Casey thinks it's the worst thing he could do. Meanwhile, Johnny's just trying to express himself. This difference results in a communication breakdown. The sooner you can identify your communication patterns, the sooner you can acknowledge them to your partner. Then, together, you can establish communication norms for your relationship. Number 4. Your beliefs and values. We are significantly influenced by the adults who raised us when it comes to our beliefs and values. In fact, many of us can immediately name a recurring value that our parents or guardians taught us growing up. Even as we grow and develop our own values, we carry these childhood beliefs with us into our adult relationships. Our parents instilled in us a deep emphasis on self-discipline. Not only does self-discipline define our life, but we saw it as a standard by which to determine others too. Therefore, when one's boyfriend wasn't always the most self-disciplined, she judged him for it. It took many conversations for her to realize that self-discipline was not the most important value, but rather something that we were raised to believe was more important than others. It's difficult to break away from the beliefs and values of our childhood. When it comes to relationships, you need to be aware that other people might have different values. Number 3. Your signs of affection. If you were fortunate to grow up around loving relationships, we spent many hours observing how those relationships functioned. In particular, we noticed how the couple displayed signs of affection. We inevitably adopted these signs of affection as typical. Then, we brought them into our adult relationships without questioning them. There are many different ways to show affection. For some people, an act of love might be to be overly helpful and generous, always asking, "What can I get you?" For others, it might be the complete opposite. Love might be shown through self-sufficiency so as not to be a burden. As a result, partners might not feel affection because they're showing it in different ways. The sooner you can get on the same page, the better. Number 2. Your attachment styles. Without diving too deeply into the research behind attachment theories, we can still learn how they affect our relationships. According to psychologists, there are 4 attachment styles that adults adopt. Secure. Comfortable with intimacy, not worried about rejection. Autonomous. Anxious. Preoccupied, very insecure about the relationship, crave closeness. Avoidant. Uncomfortable with intimacy, values independence and freedom. Anxious avoidant. Uncomfortable with intimacy and worried about a partner's commitment and love. It's not difficult to see how our attachment styles can affect our romantic relationships. What might be more difficult to see is how our childhood shaped our attachment styles. In fact, our attachment strategies are rooted in the attachments we had as children. Some of us were fortunate to grow up with secure attachment. In other words, we had parents that were involved, caring, and expressive of their love. This means we'll be better prepared to be open and trusting in our adult relationships. Not surprisingly, if we grew up with unpredictable, neglectful, or unreliable parents, we will likely feel insecure about our adult attachments. Number 1. Your mindset on money. Despite our secret fantasies about finding and marrying a prince, most people tend to marry within their social class. Screw you, Kate Middleton. In fact, this phenomenon is happening so often that it's contributing to the widening class divide, and it makes sense why it's happening. In our childhood, we develop a mindset on money based on the quality of life we have or aspire to have. Beyond the need for food and shelter, there really is no universal standard for how to spend your money. Some people have no problem dropping hundreds of dollars on clothes, while other people wear the same sweater for 10 years but fly to a new city every month. Others might put every spare cent of their paycheck towards retirement. These differing opinions will come up in our relationships. Especially as two people begin to merge their lives, they will need to question their mindset on money. While you don't need to agree on everything, you will need to find a balance. That's it for today. What are your thoughts about this video? Share it with us in our comments section below. Hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any future content. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.